JustConnect TV, streaming live. JustConnect TV is your entertainment and educational channel. We broadcast authentic content that will inspire, empower, and stir up the potential and positive energy in you. JustConnect TV, streaming live. Get yourself a high-quality branded hoodie, t-shirt, caps, umbrellas, you name it, we got it. You order, we deliver. JustConnect.
Records. Wakuabudiwa ni wewe Bwana, kando yako hapana Mungu mwingine. Jina lako lina ushindi, sifa zako ziliangusha kuta Yeriko. Katikati ya sifa pana neema, nataka nikusifu Baba kutoka moyoni mwangu. Uketie katikati ya sifa, umetukuka, sifa zetu zikifaa. Utukufu wako unashuka na nguvu zako tunapata kwa neema. Wewe Mungu heshima ni zako Bwana, unayeka ndani ya sifa. Uhimidiwe ajuaye mimi ni wewe Bwana, anijali mimi ni wewe Bwana. Sifa zako ziliangusha kuta Yeriko, katikati ya sifa pana neema. Mbele zako na sujudu, wimbo wangu na kutolea we, Muumba wa mbingu na nchi. Kwa neema, wewe kwa neema, ndiwe Yahweh, wewe Mungu wa neema, Bwana wa mabwana, wewe Mungu wa neema. Sifa zako zitavuma, ulimwengu na mataifa yatajua kwamba wewe ni Mungu. Haleluya. Wewe Mungu wa neema, Bwana wa mabwana, wewe Mungu wa neema, wewe ndiwe Yahweh, wewe Mungu wa neema, Bwana wa mabwana, wewe Mungu wa neema, wewe ndiwe Yahweh, Yahweh, usiyebadilika.
Ever felt the need to learn how to play a musical instrument or improve your music skill and never knew where to go? JustConnect School of Music is the place to be. We offer professional training in music sight reading, piano, drums, guitar, saxophone, bass guitar, and vocal training. We are located at Eprin Square, 3rd floor, room 26, opposite Buruburu Police Station. JustConnect, building worship. JustConnect TV, streaming live.
Hello viewers, this is Njama Ngugi and this is your favorite show, the Business Hub at JustConnect Online TV. Today we shall be discussing about statutory requirements and business financial records, and today we are joined by our guest, Mrs. Eva Wainaina, who is an accountant. She's also a financial advisor and a tax compliant officer. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me here.
Asante sana.
I believe we will have a good session to enlighten our viewers. Yeah.
You can tell us more about yourself in a nutshell.
I'm a trained accountant. I deal with bookkeeping and tax matters. Yeah, assisting taxpayers how to settle their tax dues, how to go about keeping their books correctly and keeping financial records. Yeah, so basically that is what we'll be dealing with today.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Obviously, I believe you'll find this a very meaningful and a very productive session so that you can be able to improve on your business. We look at the value all this discussion will bring to your business. Probably we can start on the issue of running a small business. Assuming our viewer has a small business, where do you start in terms of managing your records as a business owner?
The most important thing for any business, however small, is keeping your records. For instance, if you're having a small kiosk where you're selling things to people, you need to have a record of your stock so that you know at the end of the day how much have you sold, how much stock is left, so how much are you going to order, how much profit have you made, what expenses did you have, and all these require records. You cannot say that you're running a business from Monday to Saturday, you do not keep any record in writing and you have it all in your head. At some point, you will lose track. So it's important for one to keep records and keep them well. In terms of what you're buying, keep those receipts. Don't just bargain, word of mouth. No, it's important to have a hard copy.
Because I've interacted with people who are doing business, even when we were starting our business, and there's this attitude of which a business owner, once they buy the things, they don't care to pick the receipt. And you've mentioned about the receipts, because bookkeeping has to do with managing those things.
Yes.
Why should I take a receipt from the farm I bought my goods from?
Because at the end of the day, that receipt that you have picked from your supplier is what helps you to mitigate tax. Because if you're running a business, then there is tax implication to it. Now, without records, how do you support your expenses? Because you don't support expenses with word of mouth. You cannot tell someone that I bought from supplier ABC, and when you're asked what evidence do you have, number one, you paid by cash. So there's no record. You are not given any receipt. You did not write a voucher or anything. The person who sold you did not give you any invoice or any receipt for whatever you bought. So how do you support that? So at the end of the day, if you do not keep records, you are the one who suffers when it comes to tax matters, because you will bear the entire burden.
It will look like you've made all this profit.
Of
you never
course.
bought anything.
Exactly. And it can be assumed that maybe you got your stock through donations, so you did not incur any expense. Yeah.
And I'm also looking at probably there's somebody selling fruits or somebody selling gadgets, or you're starting your business and they don't see any value also in issuing even a cash sale, or what is also the implication of this?
Well, when it comes to sales, the person who you're selling to might not need a receipt, because they might be end users. They're not going to trade with those things, they're just going to consume. But for you as a business owner, how are you going to tell how much income you have made? It's important for you to have a record of what you have sold and how much you have made, so that even when you're calculating your margins, you know what to do. Yeah. And also to support your income, because you could be having other sources of income. Suppose you're working on your books and you want to know if you would have any tax liability. You could be having income that does not relate to the sales that you're making or the business you're doing. Without records, the assumption would be that all the money you have in your books or in your bank is income. Yeah, which could not be the case.
Exactly.
Yes.
And this may land you into problems, especially when you are dealing with the government and the auditor.
Yes, of course, because the burden lies with the taxpayer. It is for you, the burden is yours to prove to the authority that this money that you're seeing in this statement is not income. It is for you to prove that and to justify. Now, without records, how do you justify? If I pick your bank statement and assume that all the credits that are there are income, there is no expense at all, and I calculate tax based on that, who suffers? Of course, you didn't just get that income without any cost. You incurred some cost for you to be able to make the sales. So that is the most important thing.
And I'm looking at it. There's somebody probably watching us, and they are running their small shops somewhere. Or probably you sell your wares by hooking them. And where do I start? Like, now, where do we start doing this?
It is so simple. You can just buy counter book, and you make some columns where you have your sales, your recording, your stock, how much you had when you started the day, so that at the end of the day, when you're doing your stock, you can be able to tell, these are the units that I have sold, this is how much I have made. It is so simple. But you have to put a lot of effort, because I think most people start businesses calling it juakali in quotes.
Very true.
And they decide not to keep records. But over time, that business will grow. A time will come when you cannot just say you're hawking or you're just doing a kibanda. You might have, your business may grow and you have a big corporate. How are you going to run it if you do not discipline yourself from the word go? Yeah.
And I'm also thinking that there is a level of professionalism, probably, if you are issuing the right document for whatever you are doing. And you've talked about now having that counter book. And a counter book is just a book you can get from the bookshop or the supermarket. It doesn't have to be fancy. There's this issue of issuing a receipt for every sale I do. How does that augur with the consumer, the person you've sold to? Does it portray any image to the end user?
Well, it depends with what the end user is going to do with whatever they have bought. You will notice that most of the people who are in businesses, when they do purchases, in most instances they will ask for either invoices or receipts for whatever you have supplied. Maybe because there is a tax implication that is attached to it. But for an end user, if I come and buy a charger or something from you and I'm just going to use it, I might not ask for that receipt because I'm not going to use it anyway. Probably if I will demand for one, it's because it has some warrant, or I'm not sure that it's going to work so that I can come and lodge my claims. But for you, even if the person you're selling to will not ask for that receipt, why don't you do it for your own good? For your own record keeping. Because I've seen most of the receipt books are carbonated, meaning you give the customer the original and you're left with a copy. If the customer doesn't pick, well and good, you can remain with both. But for your own sake, you will have something to fall back on, even when you're doing your daily reconciliations. Because if you do not keep those records, how do you even separate your
expenditure and your income?
Yeah.
And there are these documents that are normally used in business, and some people may find it foreign once you hear some of them. Probably you can help us to understand some of these documents, such as there is an invoice, there is a pro forma invoice, there is a receipt, there is a cash sale. What is the difference between all these documents?
Okay, a pro forma invoice is like a quotation. Maybe there is somewhere you're looking for some business and the customer needs some quotations to see how much you will be selling to them and what you'll be supplying. So it is not a final document. It is something that can be negotiated on. Now, an invoice is a final document. It is something, it's a document that you issue upon supplying. And most of the times, invoices are issued where you're selling things on credit most of the time. So you invoice someone, you will find that most companies will have a credit period of, say, about 30 days or a month for that matter, and then the customer should pay within that period. So an invoice is a final document. It supports your sales or your income for that matter. A cash sale is, just as the name suggests, it is for cash transactions. It is for cash transactions. A receipt, there's a very thin line between a receipt and a cash sale. Yeah, because most of the time you'll find, even for those who issue invoices, maybe upon payment they would issue their customers with receipts to confirm payments. And maybe for those who use accounting softwares, they just do a printout of an invoice that shows it is paid. Yes.
For the sake of, because we are going to address the issue of tax and all that. What is a legal receipt, like, or a legal invoice, or a legal cash sale in the eyes of the government, and just an invoice? What is the difference?
Ideally, all invoices, it should bear the name of the supplier, the person who is selling the goods. It should bear the name. It should bear the PIN number. It should bear the postal addresses and such stuff, and of course the amounts of what is being sold. And if you're registered for VAT, it should have an ATR receipt attached, or an ESD signature. Yeah. Okay. Yes.
And Sasan, I have found this is funny. Once you go to town or in any shop, you may ask for an ETR receipt, and somebody will tell you, "Yo, utaongeza pesa." Like, how should I, kindly get? How should we deal with this issue?
I think the best thing would be, the reason that person is telling you that you'll add some money means that either the price they gave you was exclusive of VAT. When you demand for an ETR receipt, it means that the amount that you're being charged should be inclusive of VAT. And obviously, you're asking for it because you'd want to go and use that receipt to claim the input VAT. So that person will be telling you to add more money, to add the VAT aspect on that sale, which they had not put. It is not professional, because if you're VAT registered, whatever you're selling, all the commodities that are vatable should have VAT, and you should issue ETRs, irrespective of whether that person is going to claim or not. Yeah.
Let's come to this. What is the value of running a business that is registered and is capable of issuing an ETR, for that matter? And probably, as you're addressing that benefit, how do I register my business to be compliant with the KRA, however small or medium sized? How should one go about it?
For VAT matters, what happens is that there is a cap. Because for you to be VAT registered, your annual turnover should be 5 million and above. So the moment you reach that threshold, then you're eligible for VAT registration. However, for people who would like to maybe transact with corporates, even if they have not reached the 5 million threshold, they're still allowed to register for VAT. And you will notice that young people who are trading with the government, to get those tenders, it's a requirement. The government would require you to have a VAT obligation. So what I would say is that the value that you get having VAT as an obligation is that it allows you even to transact with corporates, because for corporates that are VAT registered, they prefer getting services from VAT registered suppliers, so they can use the input VAT to offset their tax liabilities. Yeah, and registration of VAT obligation is simple because you simply log in into your iTax account, and then you go to amend PIN details and you add the obligation, which then is sent to your tax station for approval. Yeah, but it's important to note that upon putting that obligation, you don't put it and sit back waiting for business. The moment you put that obligation, you should know that it's a monthly obligation. So each month, you
before you
better
come to that, we'll take a short break.
Yes.
And come and discuss about the obligations that you need to know as a registered company. Thank you. This is JustConnect Online TV. This is your show, The Business Hub. Karibu sana.
JustConnect TV, streaming live. JustConnect TV is your entertainment and educational channel. We broadcast authentic content that will inspire, empower, and stir up the potential and positive energy in you. JustConnect TV, streaming live. Get yourself a high-quality branded hoodie, t-shirt, caps, umbrellas, you name it, we got it. You order, we deliver. JustConnect. Ever felt the need to learn how to play a musical instrument or improve your music skill and never knew where to go? JustConnect School of Music is the place to be. We offer professional training in music sight reading, piano, drums, guitar, saxophone, bass guitar, and vocal training. We are located at Eprin Square, 3rd floor, room 26, opposite Buruburu Police Station. JustConnect, building worship. JustConnect TV, streaming live.
So we were at a place we were discussing about the monthly requirements after having registered your business as a VAT what?
It's a VAT tax obligation.
Yeah, obligation, yes. Kindly take us through on those. What are the requirements in a monthly basis?
The monthly tax obligations are many, but then again it depends with the nature of business and the information that you provide at the point of registration. So the monthly tax obligations that we have, one of them would be pay as you earn, and pay as you earn is for corporates or individuals, business entities that have employees. And that is tax that is deducted from employees' salaries, but it is deducted at source, so the employer is expected to remit on behalf of the employees. Of course, if that was not the case, I wonder whether employees would be paying tax. So that is one of them. Then, if you have pay as you earn tax, it means that you have permanent employees on board. So that then brings NSSF and NHIF. So also these are statutories. NSSF is for pension at retirement, and NHIF is National Hospital Insurance Fund. For NSSF, we have the old rates, which is the 200, but there are also new rates that were put in place. However, there has been a matter in court, so until when the ruling is made, probably that is when everyone will be forced now to go with the new rates. But as for now, the employers will still pay the 200. NHIF, it depends with the salary one is getting. Those rates are available on their website. But pay, NSSF, NHIF are all due on 9th of every month. Yes. There's another levy that is called NITA. It's for National Industrial Training Levy. It's also collected by KRA on behalf of NITA. It's also due on 9th, and that one is done when you're filing your pay as you earn. And you pay, it's 50 shillings per employee.
Wow.
Yes. 50 shillings per employee. So it's also due on 9th.
Is it a requirement for every business?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It is. It's assumed that people get training from the government, and that is a levy that has to be paid. Yeah. Though previously it has been mandatory, but people were not paying until when now it was put on iTax. And now when you're doing it, is part of the sheet that you have in your pay as you earn return. So you have no option. If you do not put it, then over time you will land in trouble.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Then there was the issue of when you are issuing an ETR receipt, is there a date that you're obligated by the system?
Yes, VAT is due by 20th of every month, and it's important to note that you do not file your VAT returns just because you have made sales. Even if you have not had any sales, it is important to file a nil return because there are penalties for not doing so. Pay as well. If by any chance you do not have any employee at any given time and the obligation is still active, it's important for you to file a nil return. Yes. So failing to pay VAT or filing VAT in good time, there's a penalty of 10,000
Oh my God.
per month.
Na sijauza kitu.
That's a penalty for not filing.
Okay. So I can avoid it.
Yes, you can. You can. You just mark in your calendar so that every 20th, once the obligation is active, you file. And the mistake that most people make is you register a company, you put all these obligations anticipating that business will pick up, and for some reason the business does not pick up, and you do not file. So by the time you start getting some transactions and now you start filing, you realize that you have huge penalties that are waiting for you, and it's so difficult to have waivers. It is next to impossible. Getting waivers for penalties is very unlikely. Yeah. You can argue over any other assessments, but penalties, getting a waiver is very difficult. Yeah, so.
And I'm also looking at, you mentioned about the anticipation that you are going to make business, and unfortunately that does not happen, and for one reason or the other you are not able to be in a position to do the return. And I'm also looking at there's this person who registered a business not by himself, not understanding what is the implication of what they are doing, and probably somebody else did it for them. What is the obligation? Like, when you've done that, what should be the obligation of the business owner in creating understanding or gaining understanding of the consequence of all these things that have been keyed in the system?
I think it's important for business owners to take responsibility. Don't just leave that responsibility to the person who is registering, because the person who is doing registration of the business is in business himself. So they'll do the registration for you, you pay them, and they're done. They will give you your documents, and that's it. But at the end of the day, whose information does the government have? Who are the directors? Who are the shareholders? It is you, the owner of the business. So if people could just do a bit of research, just to understand, I want to run business. What are the obligations that I have to the government if I'm running a business in Kenya? It would be so helpful, because someone could put for you all those obligations, some of which may not even be necessary, but once that obligation is there, removing it is an uphill task. It is very difficult to have an obligation removed. And you see, by the time you will be running to have that obligation removed, you will be having penalties already. So a KRA would demand pay the penalties
and then
so that
think through.
Yes, because you cannot even do an application for cancellation of a PIN or any obligation when there are penalties that are pending. You're required to clear them first. So how will you clear them? You have not even run any business. So the most important thing is people should be proactive. Yes, just do a bit of research or even look for mentors, people who are in business, so they can tell you how these things are done. Exactly. Or look for a professional, just do a briefing. Once you get the registration documents, you can share with a professional and ask them, what does this mean? What does this mean? At least you will be safe. I don't think it's too much to ask for.
Very true. We've mentioned so much about taxes and what is the benefit of compliance for the business, because we look at it from serikali nachukua pesa, I'm paying tax and all these things, but what is the benefit to the business of you being compliant to these obligations?
I actually think the mentality of serikali nachukua pesa is just a misunderstanding. People don't understand how tax works. Because, for instance, something like VAT, it is not your cost. The only person who should complain about VAT is the end consumer. Because I am forced to pay for it, but I'm not going to claim it anywhere. But for anyone who is in business, you should not complain, because the 16% is over and above. Wewe pesa yako ni 100%. Then you're told VAT is 16%. So yes, you collect on behalf of the government. But unfortunately, with business people, they would want to eat even the 16, which is not theirs. So if people could understand that, it would be so helpful. Wewe ukihesabu pesa yako, stop counting even the 16%, because it is not your money. You should know that is not your money. Yeah. Yes. And as long as you're purchasing your supplies from someone who is also registered for VAT, it would help you a big deal in offsetting the liability. Now, in terms of compliance, the biggest consumer is the government. If you intend to do any tenders with the government, then you have no choice, because a tax compliance certificate is a requirement. Probably soon banks will also start asking for a tax compliance certificates when you're looking for loans or for financing. So if you do not comply, how do you get that certificate? Because you cannot get that certificate if you have arrears. And complying is so simple. I think the cost of compliance is so low compared to the cost of non-compliance. And non-complying is just a choice which has very bad consequences. And it can even cause people to close businesses, because if you find yourself with a lot of arrears, then it is so difficult for you to pay them up in good time. But if you could make your payments as and when they fall due, then you will not find yourself, in these issues. And of course, even transacting with big corporates, you would be required to provide tax compliance certificates. I know there are corporates that would not give you business without you providing a tax compliance certificate. So it is important for one to comply, and the only thing that would help people to comply is keeping their records right. Yes, because the compliance that we are talking of here is a question of whether you are disclosing your income in full and whether the expenses that you are claiming are legit. Because some people would come up with fictitious expenses, so you must be able to support those expenses. And then now, after you have kept those records well, have you paid the tax that is due? Have you paid your corporate tax in good time? Yeah, so those are some of, have you been paying your pay in good time? Those are some of the things that people would lose on if you do not comply. And you will realize that even corporate tenders, especially for the government institutions, they'll even ask for compliance from NSSF, from NHIF. So these things revolve around the same thing, but they can be easily achieved if everyone opted to do what they should be doing. Yeah.
And what would you attribute to people not being compliant, having worked in the accounting industry and all these things?
I think it's failing to understand. Most of the time it's failing to understand, because you will realize that many people do not like disclosing their income. Nikiuliza mtu wa biashara taniambia ninajaribu tu, hii mwaka ni mbaya. Yani there is no any time that person will ever tell you, now this year has been good, I have made a lot of money. Kila time ni najaribu tu, business is not doing well. So the moment you ask for information, now that is where issues start. And you will realize that most people decide not to keep documents because they do not want to disclose. That is the biggest issue. But at the end of the day, it's you who suffers, because question would be, how do you receive your payments? If you're selling to people, maybe you're receiving money in cash. Maybe you have a till, you're receiving payments by M-Pesa. And for your information, the Kenya Revenue Authority have a right to access your M-Pesa payments if they so wished, and in case of an in-depth compliance check. So I think it's just failing to understand. That is why people do not comply, because if you do not disclose your income in full, then you're not complying.
Exactly.
If you're claiming expenses that do not exist and you cannot support, you're not complying.
Very true.
I think very few people comply. But it's not only now, even in the olden times.
Exactly. And there is another, probably before you forget, there is another obligation of the income tax.
Yeah.
How does this work in a business setting?
So income tax is an annual tax obligation, and that tax obligation is on every taxpayer, both corporates and individuals. If you're an employee, you have an income tax resident, which you should file your return at the end of the year. For corporates, tax is computed based on the profit you have made, and net profit, of course, not gross, net profit. And that is why from the word go I've been insisting of keeping your records well. Yes, because you might keep your sales records very well, and your sales can actually be tracked from even the bank statements, the payments that you're receiving from your bank and such. But now when it comes to expenses, if you do not keep your records well, then it only means that your net profit will be up.
No, your net profit is your sales.
No, your net.
Otherwise, you don't have any expenses.
If you do not, actually, by the way, if you do not have any receipts to support your expenses, then your net profit is your sales.
Oh my! So what do we do here?
And then now we will do 30%. If it's a corporate, we'll do 30% of that income.
That's income.
Yes. So you see the importance of keeping those records. And if there are any balances of tax, it should be paid by the end of the 4th month after the end of your counting period. I'm using that language because we have companies that are non-December cases. Their years do not end in December. So if your year ends in December, then you should pay your balance of tax by 30th of April the following year. If your counting period ends in June, then you should count 4 months. So that should be July, August, September. By end of October, you should pay your balance of tax. And then filing the return should be done by the end of the 6th month. So you can file your tax return between the first month after your accounting year end and 6.
Okay.
After that, penalties.
Penalties coming.
Yes.
Oh my, and they are hefty.
Of course.
Viewers, we are going to take a short break and then come back as we sum up this. This is JustConnect Online TV, your favorite show, the Business Hub.
JustConnect TV, streaming live. JustConnect TV is your entertainment and educational channel. We broadcast authentic content that will inspire, empower, and stir up the potential and positive energy in you. JustConnect TV, streaming live. Get yourself a high-quality branded hoodie, t-shirt, caps, umbrellas, you name it, we got it. You order, we deliver. JustConnect. Ever felt the need to learn how to play a musical instrument or improve your music skill and never knew where to go? JustConnect School of Music is the place to be. We offer professional training in music sight reading, piano, drums, guitar, saxophone, bass guitar, and vocal training. We are located at Eprin Square, 3rd floor, room 26, opposite Buruburu Police Station. JustConnect, building worship. JustConnect TV, streaming live.
Welcome back. This is your Business Hub show on JustConnect Online TV with my guest, Mrs. Wainaina. We are looking at the statutory requirements of a business as well as the importance of bookkeeping in running a business. And we are at a place where we have discussed already the obligations. I want us to look at the bank account, the banking of a business. Bank nitumia account yangu yangu personal ni link na biashara. How should we go about it?
It's important to separate. It's important to separate the two so that if you're running a business, have a bank account that is specifically for such transactions, where your clients pay you and from where you pay your expenses from, such that all the credits on that bank statement, you can be able to say that money came from where and what it was for. And also the debits on that bank statement, you can be able to justify that you are paying expenses that relate to the company, yes, the business. Because what happens, especially on the debits, if there are any payments that have left the company, the bank, and you cannot justify what they related to, and you see, justifying means you have a document showing I was paying supplier B. So there's no you just tell me word of mouth I was paying supplier B. I would need either an invoice or a document from that third party showing that is what you are paying for. If you do not have those support documents, the assumption is the directors are the ones who are withdrawing money for their own use, and it has a tax implications on the directors. So the directors would be taxed because it would be assumed that was income to them. And it can also be disallowed for tax purposes anyway. You might not be allowed to claim those expenses in your books. Yeah, so it's important to separate the two. Have a business bank statement and have yours as a director or the owner of the business if you have your personal transactions, so that you pay yourself a salary or whatever amount you pay yourself, and then you run your expenses from there. Yeah, it's not good kupata rent ya nyumbani kwako umeitoa kwa the company.
Umelipa.
No.
And I'm also looking at probably you are also doing a tender, or you are looking to be pre-qualified by a corporate. What is the benefit of having a good bank statement for that matter, or running your transaction through a banking system?
You see, most of the times when you're doing for tenders and tenders that require you to provide copies of your bank statements, because they would like to see your cash flow. Will you be able to finance the supply that they need? Because if you receive your payments via cash and you decide not to deposit in the bank, sababu kuna watu wanalipwa na cash na anaamua wacha tu nitumie tu hii pesa, hapa kuna haja kupeleka kwa bank. So hakutakuwa na activities in your bank statement. In other words, bank account yako haitakuwa mzuri sana, and you might end up actually losing business, especially when it comes to those tenders, because question would be, maybe you might be able to do the first supply. If by any chance they are not able to pay in good time and they need other things to be supplied, how will you supply?
Exactly.
Now, and again from your bank statement, because even when you apply for loans for financing at the bank, they also look at the movement. So the person who is giving you the tender would be wondering, if this account has no activities, even getting a loan from the bank is also very unlikely. So you might lose business because of such things. So it's important to have discipline. Let your money go through the bank, and if there are payments you're making, let the money leave the bank, and you go pay the suppliers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so this one applies even for the small businesses which are upcoming, because the whole purpose of this program is to inform us so that we are not just remaining at the subsistent level. We're just doing business hand to mouth, but we want to create wealth and riches to the people who are hearing this. So for a small business, is there value? Naweza tumia tu mattress account, an M-Pesa account, or such kind of savings. I mean, how can a small business get into the banking services? Is there a limit in terms of the money you should be transacting?
There's no limit, and actually think nowadays opening a bank account is not complicated as it were years before, where bank accounts used to be operated by the rich. Right now, everyone can open an account. And for the small businesses, there's something that Safaricom introduced, and I'm not marketing for Safaricom, called Pochi la Biashara. I think that was set to help business persons to separate pesa yao yenye wanatumia kwa matumizi yao and what is coming in from business.
Very sure.
And that would be very helpful in separating incomes, because at the end of the day, it might not be possible for someone who is running a kiosk kushinda akienda kwa bank kufanya deposits. But there's also M-banking nowadays. You deposit money to M-Pesa and transfer the money to you.
Or the till numbers.
Yes, or the till numbers. You transfer the money to your bank account. Then that way it will be easy for you even to keep your records well. But even for small businesses, separation of income is key. Otherwise, you might be running a business yenye haimake profit, lakini wewe kwa sababu tu unaona uko na pesa, uko tu sawa. But in real sense, you could be making more if your documents were well kept. Kwa sababu you'd be able to tell what is not moving, what is moving, such things. Yeah.
As we come to a close of this, probably, what would you advocate to our viewer in terms of business education? Like, how can they educate themselves? Of course, this is one of the forums where you can get this kind of education. But what are the basics one should have while running a business?
The most important thing, and what I would share with our viewers, is they should know that the government is a partner in their businesses, and as long as your company is registered in Kenya, or the business you're running, sababu, even if it's a small kiosk, you pay for the business permits and such. So the government has all your information. It is important to know that there are obligations that they have, irrespective of how small the business is. Remember, we said that income tax is an obligation for all taxpayers. That means even for the person who is having a kiosk and they have a PIN certificate, they have an obligation, which is income tax. So everyone has a stake. Everyone has a role to play. And it's important. The only thing I would emphasize is keep your documents well. It will save you a lot of hassles and a lot of trouble in future. It might not be now, but soon it will save you a lot of trouble. You never know when you'll need it. So it's important to just keep your things in order, and it will save you a lot of trouble. And let's be ready to learn. If you just open a KRA website, even from your phone, you will learn a lot of things. Yeah.
So you can do your training through the online.
Yes.
You can educate yourself from the online platforms that are available. Mtu alipe shule akasome ama.
Not really. Just go to the website, check for the downloads, because all tax obligations, you'll find some notes that can be helpful.
Exactly.
Whatever you will not understand, you can always seek clarification, but they don't use jargons, because that information is meant for the common mwananchi. I mean, it's not for the professionals. So everyone can be able to pick something. But let's not just do business blindly for the sake of it. Let us know what our responsibility is, and let's not lie to ourselves ati tunaweza jificha. Afadhali you'd rather pay what is due, so that when questions come up, you can say, no, I know I had not paid in good time, but I did pay, and here is the proof that I paid. Kuliko ukuze uambiwe, we have information, you have been making this money and you have not paid, because the assessment will be tough.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this is your business hub. I don't know whether you have your parting shots or you've already parted to our viewers.
I have already parted. Keep your documents well. That is the bottom line. There's no two way about it.
Wow.
Yes.
Thank you so much. This is your show on business training and understanding how to run your business in a very professional manner. And in this forum, we'll be bringing you professionals in different fields so that you're able to grow even your business. The information that we are providing or that is coming from this channel is intended for your good, so that your business grows from one level to the other. And my guest has been Mrs. Eva Wainaina. She's an accountant. She's also a tax consultant and a financial advisor. My name is Njama Ngugi, your host for this show. Have a lovely time till we meet again. Bye bye.
Bye.
JustConnect TV, streaming live. JustConnect TV is your entertainment and educational channel. We broadcast authentic content that will inspire, empower, and stir up the potential and positive energy in you. JustConnect TV, streaming live. Get yourself a high-quality branded hoodie, t-shirt, caps, umbrellas, you name it, we got it. You order, we deliver. JustConnect. Ever felt the need to learn how to play a musical instrument or improve your music skill and never knew where to go? JustConnect School of Music is the place to be. We offer professional training in music sight reading, piano, drums, guitar, saxophone, bass guitar, and vocal training. We are located at Eprin Square, 3rd floor, room 26, opposite Buruburu Police Station. JustConnect, building worship. JustConnect TV, streaming live.